Good evening, this is Rob Wilson. Welcome to the Euro-Dollar Market Preview for Monday the 30th of April 2012. And as we go into this market, I'm a seller of any weakness I perceive up at 132.80, and I'm a buyer quite close to price at the moment, down at 132.20. Any strength there and I'll be straight in. If you want to work out the method to my madness, then hang around and we'll get stuck in. Okay, so let's start off taking a look at Friday's price section. We can see that, on news essentially, on the downgrade, the S&P downgrade, the market fell overnight Thursday to Friday. We had a little bit of a rally, and then boom, back end of Asia, and took a right down, first hour of Europe, to retest this rising support on the 1 hour chart, which has been so effective until now, at keeping this sort of weak rally going. So, after that, we see a huge, upshift. Back to the upside, went straight through all the levels, 132, 132.20. We finally broke the high on USUs at about 8:30, and we got as high as about 132.70 before the rally sort of died off. And we're now, as you can see, the market's just opened, and we're now sort of around the 132.50 area. Okay, so looking at the key levels around that, we're still up above price. We've still got this missed daily pivot up at 132.75, which hasn't yet been tapped. I've done my best really to mark off the high, the most recent highs, and unsurprisingly, they sort of they sort of concur with that round number 132.65. So I've marked it off in a hatched line, but I'd be wanting to see what price does around there. I would prefer a little bit more travel before I try and short the market for looking for a quick reaction off a key level. But I'm not ruling out 132.65 as a potential to turn sentiment, even for a short period of time. So that is that's on my mind. So what have we got down below price? Well, at the moment at least, 132.50 is way too close. Obviously, we need to see where we sit in the morning. However, we're right on it. We're right on 132.50, which I know has been key throughout the last week. But I wouldn't trade it unless price had travelled away from it and travelled back to it on volume. What I am interested is 132.20, 130, and just below that, anywhere in that sort of 10 pip range. And the reason I like that for a long, going into the London session, is if price hasn't made it down there by then, and we perhaps fail at 132.60, then that is where the daily pivot sits, and I think it would be a natural sort of magnet for price. So I like a long off 132.20 if we start to see a little bit of divergence, a little bit of strength, or hesitation around that sort of point. What have we got below that? Well, I think the best confidence zone we got below that is 132.20. I think if 132.20 goes, then 132 even is next up. And then below that, we've got a level that's held up very well for us until now, is 131.80. However, when I look down that low, if price does make a counter south, it will have come back to this rising support how many times? Let's have a quick look. It'll be the fifth time. I've got a bit of a thing about that. I think if we get back down that low, this recently after the last tap we're going through, which is why really, 132 is probably my last long opportunity on the face of it. I'd need to be pretty convinced of a turn here to defy what would have been the prevailing sentiment. And let's be honest, an 80 pip bear move to take along that low. So if the market falls below 32, just be on your guard and perhaps stand aside at this level and see what happens. Okay. So taking a look at the fundamentals, you can see that this is actually quite busy for a Monday. There's news at 4:05 EST. I mean, it's nothing major, but it's got all the potential to move market. And then we've got some US numbers at 8:30, and then the Chicago PMI at 9:45. So there's a fair bit of fundamental releases tomorrow. When I look back at the weekend, it's hard to judge really. On the one hand, nothing's happened over the weekend that is going to shift the market big time, and we see that on the open. However, all the editorials will have been had a chance to comment on the Spanish downgrade, and the European situation, over the weekend, and the weak figures, the US figures last week. So, all that's been read over the weekend, and whether a reaction builds into the late Asian European early London session, we'll have to see. Okay, but that's the news. Anyway, look, what does it all mean? Well, let's take a look at our little summary here. Okay, look, so we're still in terms of phase, we're in this sort of weak uptrend, which is, for all intents and purposes, is a range for us short-term traders. However, the price action on Friday is pretty bullish, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if we take a long, hard look at 132.80 and we break through there on volume, we could see a move. Okay, and that may well happen, early. We need to see where we are overnight. So structure then, we've got resistance at 132.65 and 132.80. Support below price. I'm looking at 132.20. We've talked about that. 132 even, and then 131.80. But I just mentioned that again with a little bit of caution, okay? Because I wouldn't like to see price down there tomorrow. If it goes down tomorrow on volume, then that's will be a bad sign. In terms of news then, 04, 05 and 8:30 and 9:45 EST. Plan is always going in. Try to have absolutely no bias. I'll be trading against well-defined support and resistance edges, looking for that reaction, 132.80 above, 132.20 and 132 even below. As usual, I will update at 0300 EST on the London Open. That's all I've got for the moment. Get some kip. Trade safe tomorrow. This is Wilson, out.